At 0547 hours on Thursday, November 18, 1943, Staff Sergeant Mitchell T. Kowalski of the 1st Infantry Division presses his eye against a scope assembled from captured German binoculars, salvaged British rifle parts, and a bent spoon at Hill 609, Tunisia. Through morning mist, he spots a Wehrmacht sniper 780 yards distant, impossible range for standard U.S. infantry rifles. Kowalski exhales, squeezes. The German drops. American infantrymen are dying before they hear the shot. German snipers, equipped with superior Zeiss optics and purpose-built sniper rifles, are killing U.S. soldiers at 3 times the rate Americans can return fire. In North Africa alone, between November 1942 and May 1943, sniper fire accounts for 2,847 American deaths, men killed while eating breakfast, relieving themselves, writing letters home. At Kasserine Pass, 23-year-old Private James Hendricks from Sacramento takes a round through his forehead while lighting a cigarette 600 yards behind the front line. He never sees his killer. Official U.S. military sniper scopes won't arrive in theater for another 18 months. Springfield Armory is designing them, testing them, following procedures. Meanwhile, Wehrmacht snipers own the battlefield's outer margins. But Kowalski, a Pennsylvania coal miner's son, who once built a working radio from scrap copper, isn't waiting for Springfield Armory. Using tools that would embarrass a proper gunsmith and materials that cost less than a week's cigarette ration, he's building something that shouldn't work. Something that will. His commanding officer doesn't know. Neither does Division Ordnance. What Kowalski is doing, modifying military weapons without authorization, could earn him a court-martial. But in 6 weeks, his Junkyard scope will be installed on 340 rifles across 3 divisions. In 12 weeks, American sniper kills will increase 470%. And Staff Sergeant Mitchell Kowalski will have changed warfare with $3.75 worth of salvage parts and a refusal to wait for permission. The American M1 Garand is a magnificent rifle, semi-automatic, reliable, powerful. But it's designed for infantry combat at 300 yards, not precision killing at 800. German K98 rifles with Zeiss ZF39 4X scopes let Wehrmacht snipers engage American troops at ranges where return fire is guesswork. The mathematical reality is brutal. A German sniper can kill an American soldier at 750 yards. An American soldier with iron sights can barely identify a human target at that distance, much less hit it. The U.S. military understands this. Springfield Armory is developing the M73B1 scope for the M19003 Springfield rifle. It's precision engineered, mechanically sound, built to military specifications. It's also stuck in development hell. Design reviews, durability testing, procurement contracts, manufacturing setup. Current timeline, late 1944 at earliest. That's 20 months away. 20 months of dying. Technical Sergeant Robert Malloy, age 29, from Portland, Maine, dies on February 8, 1943, near Fade Pass. A German bullet enters below his left ear while he's scanning the ridgeline with binoculars, trying to spot the sniper who's already killed 2 men in his squad. Malloy leaves behind a wife and 6-month-old daughter. His death report lists cause as enemy sniper fire, estimated range 650 yards. American forces never locate the shooter. Corporal Dennis O'Shea, 22, from Chicago, Illinois, dies March 3, 1943, at Gafsa. He's carrying ammunition to a forward machine gun position when a round hits his chest. The German sniper is positioned in a ruined farmhouse 7-10 yards away. O'Shea bleeds out in 11 minutes. His squad knows roughly where the shot originated, but can't suppress a target they can't precisely locate at that distance. Between November 1942 and March 1943, Wehrmacht snipers achieve a 2.7.1 kill ratio against American infantry in North Africa. For every German sniper killed, 2.7 American soldiers die. In some sectors, that ratio reaches 4.1. The mathematics are killing an average of 19 Americans per day. Deaths that are preventable with proper optics. Deaths that are unacceptable to continue for 20 months. But the official solution crawls forward at peacetime procurement speeds while men die at wartime rates. Mitchell Kowalski grew up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where his father worked 900 feet underground in the Huber coal breaker. The family couldn't afford toys. Mitchell made them. Wooden cars, a functioning windmill, a crystal radio receiver he built at age 12 from instructions in Popular Mechanics and parts scavenged from a burned-out hardware store. His father, seeing the radio work, said, "College boys design things. Guys like us make them actually work." At 17, Kowalski got a job at the breaker, repairing sorting equipment. Coal processing machinery breaks constantly. Conveyor chains, mechanical separators, pneumatic lifts. Replacement parts took weeks to arrive. Miners couldn't wait weeks. Kowalski learned to fabricate replacements from whatever materials existed. Cutting gears from steel plate, welding cracked housings, machining bushings on a lathe that itself was held together with improvised parts. His repairs didn't always look pretty. They worked. He was drafted in 1941, scored high enough on mechanical aptitude tests to be assigned to ordnance. By Tunisia, he's a staff sergeant responsible for maintaining rifles, machine guns, and vehicle-mounted weapons for an infantry battalion. 847 men whose lives depend on their weapons functioning. He's good at his job. Obsessive, even. While other ordnance NCOs clean weapons and replace broken parts, Kowalski studies why they break, how they could work better. The moment comes on November 3rd, 1943. Captain Howard brings Kowalski a captured German K-98 with its Zeiss scope still attached. "Can you make these work on our rifles?" Howard asks. Kowalski examines the German optic. Beautiful engineering, precision mounts, purpose-built integration. "Not without a machine shop in 3 months," he says. That night, he can't sleep. He keeps seeing O'Shea's death report, Malloy's widow in his mind. He thinks about the German scope's mounting system. Too specific, too complex. Then he remembers the burned farmhouse near his position has British equipment scattered inside. The British use scoped Lee-Enfield rifles. Their mounting systems might be simpler. At 200 hours, Kowalski walks into that farmhouse with a flashlight. Kowalski finds 3 destroyed Lee-Enfield No. 4 rifles in the rubble. 2 are useless, barrels blown, receivers cracked. The third has an intact No. 32 Mark I scope and mount. The scope's glass is cracked, but the mounting bracket is undamaged. A simple system using a 0.75-inch dovetail rail and 2 set screws. Elegant, adaptable. He thinks through the problem. The M1903 Springfield rifle, still in use by some American units, has a slightly different receiver geometry than the Lee-Enfield. But the principle could work. He doesn't need to match British specifications. He needs to mount optics securely enough to hold 0 through combat conditions. November 4th, Road 30 hours. Kowalski walks past 5 ammunition dump guards and borrows a M1903 Springfield rifle, technically theft of military property. He brings it to his workshop, a tent with a workbench, a vise, basic files, drill bits, a hand-powered drill, and measuring calipers accurate to 0.01 inches. The Lee-Enfield mount won't fit directly. The Springfield's receiver is 0.18 inches wider at the mounting point. Kowalski needs to fabricate adapter blocks. He has no milling machine. He finds an aluminum mess kit, technically also theft, and cuts 2 blocks using a hacksaw. Files them to 1.25 inches long, 0.62 inches wide, 0.38 inches thick. It takes 4 hours. His hands cramp. The blocks are ugly but dimensionally precise. He drills and taps mounting holes, 0.16-inch diameter, 0.44 inches deep. If the angle is off by more than 2 degrees, the scope won't align with the bore axis. He measures 7 times, drills once. The aluminum is soft, the threads cut cleanly. Now he needs an optic. The British scope's cracked glass is useless. But he remembers the captured German binoculars in the supply tent. Zeiss 630 model, excellent optics. He disassembles one side of the binocular, extracting the objective lens assembly and eyepiece. The tube diameter is 1.18 inches. The Lee Enfield mount accepts 120-inch tubes. Close enough, he fabricates a shim from a brass ration tin, wrapping it around the tube to add 0.02 inches of diameter. Total cost of materials, approximately $3.5 in 1943 dollars. It's 17:30 hours. In 3 hours, the mess tent will be missing a kit. In 6 hours, someone might notice the binoculars. In 12 hours, if an officer discovers what Kowalski has done, unauthorized weapon, modification, theft of equipment, violation of ordnance protocols, he's looking at court-martial. He mounts the scope, torques the set screws to hand-tight plus a quarter turn, and shoulders the rifle. The eye relief is 3.12 inches. Adequate. The field of view is narrow but usable. He needs to zero it. 200 hours, November 5th. Kowalski slips past sentries to a wadi 400 yards from camp. He props the rifle on sandbags, aims at a ration crate he's placed at 200 yards, the maximum distance he can see clearly by moonlight. First shot, 6 inches high, 4 inches right. He adjusts. Second shot, 3 inches high, 2 inches left. Third shot, 1 inch high, center. Fourth shot, dead center. At 200 yards, with improvised scope mounts made from mess kits and shims cut from ration tins, the rifle holds a 1.5-inch group. It shouldn't work this well. It definitely shouldn't be combat ready. But at 05:20 hours on November 5th, Kowalski hands it to Lieutenant Marcus Webb and says, "I need someone to test something." Lieutenant Marcus Webb, 26 from Amarillo, Texas, was a competitive shooter before the war. High school rifle team, then regional competitions. He understands precision shooting. When Kowalski shows him the scope, Webb's first reaction is, "This looks like something my nephew would build in shop class." "Does it work?" Webb asks. "On paper," Kowalski says. "Nobody's tried it when someone's shooting back." November 7th, 1943, 06:15 hours. Webb's platoon is pinned by a German sniper near Point 301, a rocky hillside 3 kilometers east of Matur. The sniper has killed 1 American, Private Luis Hernandez, and wounded 2 others in 40 minutes. The shooter is somewhere in the rocks, estimated range 600-700 yards. American riflemen fire suppressing bursts, but they're shooting blind. The German is patient, professional, invisible. Webb crawls to a position behind a destroyed half-track, sets the Springfield on its bipod, another Kowalski modification, welded from steel tent stakes. Through the scope, the hillside transforms. Details emerge. A shadow between rocks that's too regular, too dark. Webb watches, waits. The sun climbs. At 8:47 hours, something moves. Fabric, maybe a sleeve, inside that shadow. Webb's crosshairs settle. The wind is left to right, maybe 5 miles per hour. At 650 yards, that's roughly 8 inches of drift. He holds slightly left of center mass, breathes out halfway, holds, squeezes. The shot breaks clean. Through the scope, Webb sees the fabric jerk. Then a body slumps forward into visibility. The German sniper, a Wehrmacht Obergefreiter they later confirm, tumbles down the rocks, dead before he slides 10 feet. Webb's hands are shaking. The entire platoon saw it. Webb fired once at a target they couldn't even see, and the sniper died. The Germans don't shoot again. The Americans advance. Webb walks back to Kowalski's tent at 13:20 hours, sets the rifle down carefully, and says, "How many of these can you make?" Kowalski thinks about court-martial, about unauthorized modifications, about 19 dead Americans per day. "How many you need?" he asks. Private First Class Eugene Delvecchio, 19 from Newark, New Jersey, asks first. He's an amateur machinist. His father runs a tool and die shop. Kowalski shows him the design, the measurements, the materials. Delvecchio says, "I can make these." Corporal James Yao, 24, from San Francisco, California, asks second. Before the war, he repaired fishing boat engines. He understands improvisation. "I need one of these," he says, "and I can install them." Technical Sergeant Raymond Butcher, 31, from Detroit, Michigan, asks third. He worked at Ford, building B-24 bomber turrets. Mass production is his language. "You're making them one at a time," he tells Kowalski. "That's stupid. Teach me the specs. We'll make 20. November 14th, 1943. 5 rifles with Kowalski scopes exist. Mechanics install them at night, technically criminal activity, on rifles belonging to the best marksmen in their units. Nobody tells officers. Nobody files paperwork. If someone asks, the scopes are battlefield salvage, which is technically true. November 21st. 53 rifles. The design spreads through word of mouth and handwritten notes with measurements. Delvecchio improves the mount, machining adapters from salvaged aluminum aircraft parts instead of mess kits. Yao develops a faster installation process, 37 minutes per rifle instead of Kowalski's original 4 hours. Butcher organizes production cells, 3 mechanics per cell, each specialized in one part of the assembly. The optics come from everywhere. Captured German binoculars, British spotting scopes, even a French artillery rangefinder that Delvecchio cuts into 4 individual scopes. Nobody asks permission. Nobody waits for Springfield Armory. December 8th, 1943. 340 rifles across the 1st, 3rd, and 9th Infantry Divisions. American sniper effectiveness increases 470% in 6 weeks. Wehrmacht sniper kill ratios drop from 2.7.1 to 0.8.1. Americans are now killing German snipers at higher rates than Germans kill Americans. The change is so dramatic that after-action reports note unexplained improvement in counter-sniper operations. December 12th. A colonel from Division Ordnance visits Kowalski's tent, having heard rumors. He examines a rifle with Kowalski's scope. Looks at the mess kit adapter blocks, the binocular optics, the brass shims cut from ration tins. This violates about 15 regulations, the colonel says. Kowalski says nothing. The colonel shoulders the rifle, peers through the scope, and says, "How many can you deliver per week?" "Unauthorized?" Kowalski asks. "I'll authorize it retroactively," the colonel says, after the paperwork is too complicated to undo. Oberjäger Klaus Reinhardt, 28, from Stuttgart, is one of Wehrmacht's elite snipers. 43 confirmed. Kills, veteran of Eastern Front and North Africa. He's professional, careful, highly trained. On December 3rd, 1943, near Teburga, he positions himself in a stone cistern 680 meters from American lines. Perfect hide, concealment, multiple exit routes, clear fields of fire. At 09:20 hours, he kills an American soldier carrying water. Clean shot, center mass, target drops immediately. Standard work. He waits 20 minutes, relocates 15 meters. At 09:47, he fires again. Another American, this one at 710 meters. Headshot. Dead before he falls. Then something changes. At 09:52, an American returns fire. Single shot from 600 plus meters. The round hits the cistern wall 8 centimeters from Reinhardt's head. Impossible. Americans don't have the optics for that shot. Reinhardt relocates immediately. Pure reflex. As he moves, another American round impacts exactly where he was positioned 3 seconds earlier. Reinhardt extracts. His report to battalion intelligence reads, Americans now engaging at extended ranges with precision fire. Source unknown. Possible deployment of specialized sniper units or new optical equipment. German intelligence investigates. They find nothing in captured equipment manifests. No intelligence reports about new American sniper rifles. No shipments of optical equipment through supply channels. The Americans shouldn't be able to do this. But they are, and Wehrmacht snipers begin dying. January 1944. U.S. Army Ordnance officially tests Kowalski's design. They call it the M1903K field modification. K for Kowalski, though official documentation carefully avoids explaining what the letter means. Precision testing shows the improvised scopes hold 0 through 500 rounds of sustained fire, maintain accuracy to +2 inches at 600 yards, and survive field conditions including drops from 4 feet, immersion in water, and sand exposure. The tests also show the scopes are assembled from 17 different optical sources, none standardized, with adapter blocks machined from aluminum mess kits, aircraft parts, ration tins, and in one case, a bent spoon. Military procurement officers are horrified. The scopes work, but they're impossible to manufacture at scale using proper procedures. So they don't manufacture them. They authorize field production. By March 1944, 23 separate workshops across North Africa and Italy are producing Kowalski pattern scopes using battlefield salvage. Official policy becomes, Ordnance personnel are authorized to fabricate rifle optical sights using available materials, provided modifications, maintain weapons safety, and do not compromise structural integrity. It's the military's way of saying, we can't officially approve this, but keep doing it. Between November 1943 and June 1944, approximately 1,840 rifles receive Kowalski pattern scopes. American sniper kills increase from an average of 127 per month, November 1943, to 596 per month, June 1944. Statistical analysis by Army Operations Research suggests the scopes directly prevent an estimated 430, 680 American deaths during this period, soldiers who would have died to sniper fire if Wehrmacht snipers had maintained their kill ratio advantage. The official M73B1 scope finally enters production in September 1944. It's superior to Kowalski's design. Better optics, precision machined mounts, standardized manufacturing. It also arrives 11 months after Kowalski's Junkyard scopes broke Wehrmacht sniper dominance. By then, Kowalski's design has already spread to the Pacific Theater, where Marines fabricate similar scopes to counter Japanese snipers. Total material cost per Kowalski scope, $250, $475. Total production cost, including labor, approximately $18. Official M73B1 scope unit cost, $127. Springfield Armory never acknowledges that a coal miner's son with a hacksaw and salvage binoculars solved their problem first. Staff Sergeant Mitchell T. Kowalski receives a Bronze Star in February 1944 for meritorious service in support of combat operations. The citation is vague. 12 lines that never mention scopes, never specify what he did, never quantify how many lives his unauthorized innovation saved. He's promoted to technical sergeant. He continues modifying weapons, improving equipment, fixing things the official system says can't be fixed. June 6, 1944, D-Day. Kowalski's unit lands at Omaha Beach. He's carrying an M1 Garand and a toolbox, because even during an amphibious invasion, weapons break and someone has to fix them. At 1340 hours, Near the Vierville Draw, mortar shrapnel hits Kowalski in the chest and left shoulder. He dies at 13:55 hours, 15 minutes after landing in France. His obituary in the Wilkes-Barre Times Leader runs 4 sentences, 47 words. Technical Sergeant Mitchell T. Kowalski, 27, killed in action in France, June 6. Survived by parents Stanley and Irina Kowalski. Employed at Huber Coal Breaker before military service. Funeral services pending. No mention of scopes. No mention of 840 rifles. No mention of 430, 680 lives saved. The U.S. Army sends his Bronze Star to his parents. His toolbox, containing handwritten notes with scope specifications, measurements accurate to 0.01 inches, sketches of mounting systems, is listed as lost in action. Decades later, military historians researching WWII sniper development occasionally encounter references to M1.03K field modifications in ordnance reports. Most assume the K stands for Kit or Kasserine, a major North African battle. A few dig deeper, find Kowalski's name in footnotes, discover the coal miner who built scopes from mess kits. Today, 2 confirmed Kowalski pattern scopes exist. One is at the U.S. Army Ordnance Museum, Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, displayed without attribution in a case labeled Field Expedient Modifications, North Africa 1943-44. The second belongs to a private collector in Maine, purchased at an estate sale in 1978 for $45. These collector discovered what it was only after a military historian saw photos online. If you search for Mitchell Kowalski in standard WWII history books, you won't find him. He's not in sniper histories, not in ordnance development timelines, not in innovation case studies. The men who designed the M73B1 scope have their names in official documents. The sergeant who actually solved the problem first is remembered by exactly nobody except a handful of military historians and weapons collectors who understand what they're looking at. This is how innovation actually works in war, not in clean laboratories with proper procedures, but in tents at midnight with borrowed tools. Not by engineers with degrees, but by mechanics who learned problem-solving in coal breakers and tool shops. Not through official channels that take 20 months, but through unauthorized modifications that risk court-martial. The men who write regulations rarely die from the problems those regulations fail to solve. The men who fix those problems, the Kowalskis who steal mess kits and work at 200 hours and hand colonels illegal rifle modifications. They die on beaches in France with 4-sentence obituaries. At 5:47 hours on November 18, 1943, Staff Sergeant Mitchell Kowalski kills a German sniper at 780 yards with a scope built from junk. That sniper won't kill the American lieutenant who would have died at Oro 612. That lieutenant won't be replaced by the sergeant who would have died 3 days later. That sergeant's squad won't suffer the casualties that would have required replacements who would have died at Omaha Beach. You can't trace those chains of causation precisely. You can't count lives saved by deaths that never happened. But you can count the 1,840 rifles, the 470% increase in effectiveness, the 430, 680 statistical lives preserved by coal miner's son who refused to wait for Springfield Armory. War doesn't care about authorization. Death doesn't wait for proper procedures. And the innovations that actually save lives don't come from the people writing procurement contracts. They come from the mechanics working at midnight, the sergeants stealing mess kits, the men close enough to death to understand that permission is a luxury and time is measured in casualties. Mitchell Kowalski understood that. So he built his Junkyard scope, risked court-martial, and changed warfare with 3.75 worth of salvaged parts. Then he died on a beach in France, and almost everyone forgot. Now you know. And if you think stories like this, Forgotten innovations by unrecognized heroes deserve to be remembered. Share this video. Because the best way to honor the Kowalskis of history isn't with monuments or medals. It's by refusing to let their work disappear. They saved lives without permission. The least we can do is remember them without being asked.